For Eric J on Sports, I'm Eric J, and this is what I think. Currently in All Elite Wrestling, there seems to be a feud going on that is partially storyline, but is also partially insider driven. And what I mean by that is some elements of the feud point to issues that one wrestler has with another that are more personal than nature. Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks, has made her debut in All Elite Wrestling and has been pushed to the top of the card. She is now the current TBS champion, and she's also the New Japan Strong Women's champion, having won both of those belts recently, and her current challenger is none other than Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Now, Britt Baker was the first woman that AEW ever signed. Britt Baker is the former AEW Women's Champion. Britt Baker appeared on the very first All In show in a match. Britt Baker is an AEW original. Now, that in itself would seem like a great storyline and a great match. They're both great wrestlers. Britt's a better talker than Mercedes, and that's neither here nor there. But they're both great wrestlers. And currently, Mercedes is playing the heel, the villain in this saga, because the fans seem to have turned on her. But Britt Baker's issue with Mercedes is not solely the fact that Britt Baker wants to be TBS champion. Britt Baker's issue with Mercedes is the fact that Mercedes, when she introduced herself to the AEW public, she introduced herself by indicating that she's a former world champion and she's dominated wrestling and won multiple world titles. And she signed with AEW as the highest paid woman in professional wrestling history. And she's won matches and won championships all over the world. And she's toured the world and fought everybody who matters. And in and of itself, that's not a big deal. But Britt Baker seems to take offense to that because Britt feels that Mercedes should have come into the company and discussed what Mercedes is going to do to help elevate AEW, not just come into the company to trumpet her former accomplishments. And some people can agree with that and some people can't, but that's not the issue of what we're talking about today. What I'm talking about here is I have a question based on that issue. Does your career matter if you've never had a run in WWE? Because Mercedes Sasha has had a run in WWE, so people are going to look at her and say, oh yeah, her career matters. She's been in WWE and she's reached the highest point. Nick Nemeth, the former Dolph Ziggler, went to Japan, won a championship in his first match, lost it a few matches later, and he is currently the Impact Wrestling, TNA Wrestling World Champion. And that's fine. But he's also a former WWE World Champion. So people are going to look at his career and say, yeah, his career matters because he worked in WWE and reached the highest level. Now, Nemeth defeated Moose, the former champion, for the title. And Moose has never worked in WWE. So does the fact that Moose was a former Impact champion but never worked in WWE negatively affect his career? I mean, there are some people who've gone to WWE but were only there for a cup of coffee. But if you look at their careers are Hall of Fame worthy. Guys like Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, for example, former world champions, but were only in WWE a very short time. So do their careers matter? You look at a guy like the Great Muta, and the Great Muta is in the WWE Hall of Fame. But Great Muta has never had a match in a WWE sanctioned event. Great Muta's had several matches in WCW and won championships and feuded with Sting and feuded with Ric Flair, the whole thing. But he's never had a match under the WWE umbrella. But he's in the WWE Hall of Fame, as are many, like Masa Chono and other people like that. Because WWE is feeling as if they should include wrestlers who are great but don't have WWE connections. But that still brings up a question. Does a guy like Christopher Daniels or Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks have careers that are less than the careers of, say, FTR or Cody Rhodes because those guys have WWE connections? Those guys have WWE in their history. Will Britt Baker matter 20 years from now if she never goes to WWE? Jade Cargill spent her first 60 matches as a professional working for AEW. But she always felt that she needed the WWE rub on her career. So as soon as her contract expired with AEW, she immediately jumped to WWE. But somebody like Dana Brooke, who was groomed in WWE but never achieved anything, is now in Impact competing for the women's title. So you wonder what it means to certain individuals if they never go to WWE. Jay Lethal is the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion ever, and he also held the TV title at the same time. But he's never been to WWE. He was in Impact and won championships, but he's never been to WWE. So does his career matter? Mark and Jay Briscoe won the Ring of Honor tag titles 11 times, and both Mark and Jay Briscoe have been Ring of Honor world champion. But neither have ever worked for WWE, so do their careers matter? I'm going to say yes in both instances. Yes for Jay Lethal and yes for the Briscoes. But there are some people who will say no, because the same tribalism that exists in every other sport, in every other controversy, in every other debate exists with professional wrestling. And if you are a WWE fan as opposed to a wrestling fan, then you believe that you have to work for WWE at some point to be relevant. AJ Styles had to come to WWE. Samoa Joe had to come to WWE. Cody Rhodes had to come back to WWE and be champion. The Gorillas of Destiny had to come to WWE at some point. All of these people, Shinsuke Nakamura had to come to WWE at some point. Okada and Tanahashi never have. But they've won the IWGP Championship more times than Shinsuke Nakamura. So asking the question if a career matters, no matter how legendary or how highly decorated that career is, without a WWE run, some people are going to say it matters. I would have told you that the Dudleys didn't need WWE to show their greatness, but they showed up in WWE and increased their greatness. I would have said to you that Booker T was perfectly fine as a 5-time former WCW champion. But he felt like he needed WWE. And if you ask Booker T, he will tell you that everybody does, because Booker T is a WWE soldier. Jim Cornette will tell you that everybody needs to go to WWE at some point. Even he did, when for years he was one of the loudest opponents to the WWE style and the way WWE did business. But some of these people will tell you that it's necessary and it's vital. So if you're thinking that, then Kenny Omega, the Bucks, Adam Page, The Acclaimed, Private Party, Darby Allin, all of these people will at some point need to go to WWE if that's what you think for their careers to be relevant. Okada will need to leave AEW and go to WWE. Tanahashi, the president of New Japan, will need to at some point go to WWE. Moose will need to go to WWE, and he wants to. Jordan Grace, the Knockouts champion, already has appeared in WWE. So a lot of people who are WWE fans will believe that in order for a career to matter, the person will have to have appeared in a WWE ring. So Britt Baker, you're upset with Sasha Mercedes because she's touting her past life instead of trumpeting AEW. There's a lot of people who are going to feel like unless you get the same kind of life she's had, unless you walk in her shoes and parade through WWE at some point, that your career won't matter. I am not one of them because I believe you've had a great career so far. But there are going to be people who will feel that way. Even your boyfriend, future husband Adam Cole spent time in WWE. Though he never made it to the main roster, and neither did any of his friends, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, or Roderick Strong, they were there. So before we look at Matt Taven and say his career doesn't matter because he's never been to WWE, but his partner Mike Bennett was, even though Mike Bennett had to change his name to Mike Kanellis and be his wife's lackey, and he never did anything of significance in WWE, Matt Taven and Britt Baker were never in WWE. So their careers may not matter to those who feel like a WWE run will make it matter. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds, but right now, Britt and Sasha are going to be butting heads. And a part of that war is going to be over the fact that Sasha Mercedes feels like Britt's career doesn't matter because Britt has never been to WWE. We'll see where this goes. Remember to like and share this video and subscribe to this channel and visit the Eric J on Sports website and follow me on Facebook at Eric J on Sports 1 and on Instagram and Twitter at Eric J on Sports. And for Eric J on Sports, I'm Eric J, And this is what I think.